Last week, I took you guys to Costco and I wanted to show you a lot of great alternatives to bacon if you're doing the bacon diet. Well, I came across something so interesting, I had to try it. It's these Wagyu beef patties from Costco. At a $30 price point, I figured, it's actually not that much more expensive than the bacon plan once cooked down. I grabbed a bag and this week, we're gonna see what happens. This video comes at really great timing. It's gonna go into my spring training playlist. To give you guys a recap on that, January 1st, I weighed 213 pounds. That's when I started my midwinter cut series. Through that, I showed you guys various things that I was doing to lose weight. And once spring started, I officially started my spring training where I'm also combining that with running my first half marathon. So I started at 213 pounds. As of this week, I'm sitting at around 197. What I'm going to do is take you guys through a week of me eating mostly these Wagyu beef patties. Now, how that's going to work is whenever I would normally have bacon, I'm going to substitute it out for this. I'm still having my probiotics, still having the blueberries for dessert, but aside from that, I'm mostly having these Wagyu beef all week. The only exception to that is going to be when I'm at work, I still like having my bacon. A good reason for that is that the bacon just stores well in a refrigerator. It's a lot easier for me to stay on the plan when there's something convenient that I can get to. So what I'm going to do from here, I'm going to head over there. We're going to start out getting my initial measurements. That means we're hitting this weigh-in, and then I'm going to show you a 360 rotation of my physique. We're using poor lighting. I'm not flexing. This is exactly what I look like getting out of bed in the morning. In fact, I'm not even going to do my hair. From there, I'm going to do a waist measurement. Now, as I continue leaning down, the waist is going to reduce less and less. I'm sitting at just under 31 inches, and I think I'm going to cap out probably at 30. Because of that, I've introduced a new measurement I'm measuring out my quads. The reason for this is a lot of people don't know, but usually the legs are the last place that you lose weight. This is why people that are skinny still experience having love handles. My legs are coming out to about 23 inches. I think when I get to my peak leanness, they're probably going to be around 22 or possibly even 21, but I'm not expecting to get much lower than that. From there, let's go cook up our first patty and get this week started. Getting started here with our very first patty. I've never had one of these before, so we're getting into this completely in the blind. It's only 440 calories. And the nice thing about it, the keto macros on this are just insane. This single patty's got 38 grams of fat and 24 grams of protein. Now I've got 15 in the pack. I'm thinking if I have 2 a day plus 1 extra, I get the whole pack down in 1 week. I still want to have my bacon at work. I've got my bacon actually right here. You see, the thing is, I got a good thing going with this. I don't want to totally screw it up, so I'm still eating bacon at work. I'm going to have one of these for dinner every single night. Friday, I'm doubling down. Bacon's just for when I'm on the road. So I want to experiment this week. I want to see what it's like if I go on deeper keto macros despite all the cardio I'm doing. I just wrapped up with a 5-mile run. I haven't had carbs today. It was a little bit slower than I normally like it to be, but I was still able to get through the full 5 miles. We'll see what happens. I'm open-minded to trying running without any carbohydrates. We'll give it a run for this week, except for probably when I do my long distance run. I did 10 miles on my last one. If I can get to 12 miles on this next one, probably on Friday or Saturday, I am going to be completely ready for this half marathon. In the meantime, let's see how our burger's doing. This little skillet I got is basically permanently soaked in bacon grease. So I'll probably have a little bit of hints of bacon. Let's see how this is. We got a little bit on the top. I like my steaks rare, so this isn't going to bother me one bit. It's good. So the thing about it is, real Wagyu is not going to be $30 for all of this. Real Wagyu would be like $2,000. But if this is imitation Wagyu coming from a cow from like Wisconsin, hey man, I'm cool with that. So far, that was pretty good. All it took was one tiny little bite, and I felt that. I'm going to just try out this lamb barbecue seasoning. It's kind of low on the sodium, so I'll probably have my salt water with dinner. That's one thing I really do want to be careful about this week. I'm still having probably 1.5 pounds of bacon every day. But because the Wagyu has no sodium pre-built into it, I do need to manage my electrolytes, which is why I've always got my electrolyte drink somewhere nearby. I've done a lot of keto in the past. It took me years to figure out. The way to get rid of all the headaches and the brain fog is through electrolyte management. I don't go anywhere without electrolytes. I make all of them homemade. If I'm being completely, totally honest with you guys, It's probably a bigger deal to manage your electrolytes than it is to actually get perfect keto macros. A lot of the times when I have hunger pains, I think my body's telling me that it wants salt. When I'm drinking salt water, I don't get hungry. And when I'm doing keto, I don't get hungry. You put those two together, and it's pretty easy to lose weight. You guys will see what I mean in a couple weeks. But anyways, in the meantime, we'll let this thing cook to a nice medium rare, and then we're going to chow down and let you guys know how it is. So I do gotta say, the one nice thing this has over the bacon so far, it took a lot less time to cook, and it's gonna take even less time to clean. Let's get this thing out of here. Oh man. All right, I'm gonna try and show you guys this. Do I attempt to get that on top of the burger? We'll try it. Oh yeah. Oh my gosh, this is gonna taste crazy. I haven't even taken a bite yet, but knowing what I do about fat, man, I'm telling you. Wagyu beef patties. Let's give it a rip. Man. Oh my gosh, you guys don't realize. I spent like 7 or 8 years trying to do these crash diet bodybuilder diets to get lean. When all you ever had to do was just go authentic keto and get your carnivore diet going. This is incredible, you guys. Holy well, I can't swear on this channel. This is really good. This is really good. Family-friendly channel. Can't use the bad words. But these patties are a little pricey, not going to lie. But if you're willing to stomach the $30 for that 15-pack, wow. Wow. This is going to be an easy week. This will probably be the easiest week I've done yet. Well, I'm going to chow down on this. I'm going to chow down this whole week. Tell you what. All right, I'll see you guys in a bit. All right, guys, it's Friday morning. We've officially passed 1K. In fact, we've blown way past that. I want to thank everybody that's helped me cross that milestone. What we're about to do is head to the gym. I want to give you guys your weekly reminder to manage your electrolytes. If you're new here, go ahead and subscribe as well. And if you're watching this video on a cell phone, get ready to take a screenshot. I'm going to post up the recipe for electrolytes. You can make these at home and saves an insane amount of money. First things first, you want to go with a gram of salt. I've got this Himalayan sea salt. You can use any salt you like. Even Morton's table salt will work. Next, we've got the potassium chloride. You want to go 500 milligrams of this. And then 200 milligrams of the magnesium malate. Now, I got this from Bulk Supplements. It was 30 pounds for a bag, but you get a whole pound, and when we're only using 200 milligrams per serving, you can split this bag about 5,000 times. It basically means you've got electrolytes for life, at least from the magnesium angle. There's one more thing that I've added this morning, and that's actually going to be creatine monohydrate. Now, the creatine monohydrate has nothing to do with electrolytes, but the cool thing about making this at home, I can mix whatever I want into here. So I can kind of mix and match. I feel like I'm kind of like a potion master from like a video game like World of Warcraft or like Skyrim or something. Whatever I need, I can throw in here. And as one last note, I like to make mine using Fiji water because the spring water naturally has a little bit of minerals in them. This means when it hits the kidneys, it's not going to be processed in the urine as quickly. Your body has to do something with those minerals, so it just helps with the hydration. Plus, I'm not a tap water guy. I don't really like the fluoride. That's just me. With that, guys, let's go hit some legs. All right, so we're gonna start out today's leg day actually with hamstring curls. The reason I do it this way and not starting out with the squat first is if you start with the squat, you're building up a lot of fatigue in the central nervous system, especially in your spine. It's going to make it really hard to train all the other muscle groups. You start with hamstring curls. There's no tension on the spine whatsoever. And these don't really get worked out much in a squat anyways. We hit those first. It's going to have almost no impact on my squatting later. So when it comes to a hamstring curl, it's a very easy movement. Basically, all you're trying to do is kick yourself in the butt. When you retract the weights, make sure that the weight stack never actually touches. You want to have the gap just small enough that you could fit a paper clip in beneath that weight stack, but you never want to hear the weights clink. Want to make sure we're holding tension on the weights at all times. Get into more depth in this in the future, but everything I do in training is all about maintaining tension at the most compromised positions. It's going to be the deep stretch and also the peak contraction. So you'll see right here, I am trying to pause a little bit when I kick myself in the butt, and I'm also trying to pause a little bit at the stretch. I'm going to do 4 sets of hamstring curls, and then I'm going to move on to 4 sets of leg extensions. Now, leg extensions are the antithesis of a leg curl. Similarly, I never want the weight stack to touch. I'm going to extend out to full range of motion here, I'm actually gonna lock out and try to hold this for about half of a second. Now, as you can see, I lower it, but I never let the weights touch. Now I'm getting deep tension in the stretch of the quads, which is gonna be even more pronounced when I'm doing my deep squats later. Similar to the hamstring curls, I'm gonna do 4 sets of these. This is gonna really get my legs nice and warmed up. If you're brand new to training, I really recommend that you combo up doing hamstring curls and leg extensions and just treat them like it's training arms. If you do it that way, you're gonna do very well as a beginner. Next up, we're gonna get my hips warmed up for these deep squats. We're gonna be doing both adduction and abduction. We'll start out with the adductors first. In a lot of ways, this is kind of like doing a chest fly. What I really want to do is just focus on getting this deep stretch. This isn't really an aesthetic exercise. I'm doing this purely to get warmed up for my deep squat so that my hips are not the weak point while squatting. I'll do 2 sets of the adductors, and then I'm going to do 2 sets of the abductors. That'll get these legs nice and warmed up. One little tip if you're doing these, when you're done with your set, come together like you're doing a chest fly and take your left hand or your right hand, whichever one you're better with. Hold that pad so you can slip the knee out and let go like that. It's gonna prevent you from getting injured trying to release this thing out and pop out altogether. The same is true in reverse. If I wanna get set up, I'm left hand dominant. I'm flying that weight out with my left hand and then throwing my leg in. That way, I never start out in this compromised stretch. You want to gradually work up to this, usually because the legs are tight, and especially in the morning if you're a morning lifter like me. So that's how we're going to do that. Once I've done 2 of those, we're going to then mix this thing up. Same principle as before. I'm just pushing out. I'm not going for muscular failure here. We're just stretching this muscle out. Once I'm done with these, it's going to be squats for the rest of this training session. I like to squat deep and I like to do a lot of sets, but not very many reps. I'll kind of explain that once I get over there. So before I move on to squats, there's actually one thing I did want to show you guys. This one's a little bit more of a personal exercise I do. So as a hockey player, I really want to make sure that I've got strong skating through the season. I'm going to show you guys the exact thing that I do to train the skate in particular. Now on my second cell phone here, you're going to see that my feet are at an ultra wide angle. This is going to allow me to really emulate what it's like to ice skate. Let me get these safety pins latched out. Now for this, it's all about really getting that deep stretch. Notice that I'm letting this thing go as far as the machine allows. If I could go even deeper than this, I would. But unfortunately, I'm kind of maxed out by this machine. So this is not necessarily going to be training for aesthetics, but what this allows me to do is really focus in on what I'd be doing if I was actually ice skating, getting my body position very low and getting these really deep strides. Pushing with the balls of my feet so that my heel is almost not engaged at all. Exactly how you would want to be if you were on ice skates. So I'll do a few sets of these, usually after my squat, because this is a leg pressing movement. It's going to be a little bit more engaged than the leg curls and the leg extensions. So I usually do this as a finisher, but since I was in the area, I just wanted to show it to you guys. The next thing we're going to do is some very, very deep low bar squatting. Let's head over to the squat rack and take a look. All right, so here we are. Everything we've been doing up to this moment has been building up to the squat. The way I do squats, I set this up so that I do a low bar squat. What a low bar squat is versus a regular normal high bar. With the high bar, you end up putting the bar just below the neck, resting right here on the traps. With a low bar, I actually retract my scapula, create a little crevice that I'm going to place the bar in. This goes across the length of the traps. It's a little bit more painful, but what this allows me to do is get a much deeper leverage so that I'm able to squat much deeper, getting a much crazier stretch in the legs. And because of this extra leverage, over a period of time, trainers that train the low bar squat will end up squatting heavier than with a normal squat. For that reason, I've primarily switched over to the low bar squat for all of my weekly training. So let's get after it. I'll show you guys exactly what that low bar squat looks like. So as you can see here, by doing it this way, I'm getting some incredible depth here. I'm getting a great stretch in the quads. I'm also activating my core a lot more than normal. It's amazing. I highly recommend if you do squat, give these a try, but also make sure to start out with low weight so that you can get used to the grip formation. Well, guys, with that, these next couple of sets are going to be, for me, I'm gonna add a little bit more weight. I'm gonna put the microphone down, finish out this monster workout, and then we're gonna get home and eat some patties. I'll see you guys at home. All right, here we are. It's Sunday night. I'm having my last patty right now. It's been a great week. Yesterday, I actually ran my half marathon. I did it a little bit earlier than expected. When I was around 11 and a half miles, I pull out my phone, I look at my chart, seeing that I only had a mile and a half to hit the half marathon. Even though I was in kind of rough shape, I said, you know what, I'm going to finish it out, and I did. In hindsight, I probably should not have gone out and ran at 1 p.m. The weather conditions were absolutely brutal. I got some little bit of sunburn damage today. The times weren't really what I wanted them to be. 2:30 for a first marathon. Not the greatest, but that's not factoring in the fact that I did have to stop at traffic lights multiple times. On top of that, I also had to stop at a few different restaurants, use the bathroom, and then slam as much water as I could. We had one of those blue sky days. It's not actually blue skies. It's more like gray skies, which if you're in the Midwest, you know that means it's humid. It's very hot, very humid, and I was sweating like crazy. But you know what? I finished it. On June 15th, I'm going to get my sticker. There's no question at this point of whether or not I can do it, and I'm so excited for that. On top of that, after hitting 1K subs, this morning I went live for the first time. Go ahead and watch that after if you're interested. I answer a lot of Q&A in there, and it's also a good way for you guys to kind of get to know me in a more personal setting where I can take my time, collect my thoughts, and tell you guys different things about my journey and the things that I've experienced. One more thing before we go to the week recap. I just got an Apple Watch today. I've never had one of these in my entire life. I figured if I'm going to be doing all this running, it'd be nice to have the Apple Watch so that I'm no longer running with a phone in the pocket. This is going to make life more convenient, so I'm really excited for this. But there's one other cool feature on here, and I got to mess around with it first to get it working. As long as you have an Apple Watch, we can share data together, we can run together, we can even walk together if that's your level. I'll figure out how all that works, and we'll cross that bridge when I'm ready. But with that, guys, this thing's starting to sizzle, so I'm going to pay attention to cooking it. Going to eat this up, and then we're going to hit the recap first thing tomorrow morning. All right, guys, it's been an amazing week. I want to start out with the weigh-ins and the physique update first. No surprises here. After doing a half marathon, I did hit an all-time new low of 196 and some change. The waist measurements and the leg measurements didn't really change that much, but I do notice that my legs are slightly getting smaller in circumference. Same thing with the waist. Again, not as big as I was expecting, but that's all right. I do want to talk about the half marathon. So that was a complete accident. My plan that day was to actually only run 11 miles, but when I got to that mark, I said, you know what, let's just finish the whole thing. I felt pretty bogged down towards the end. I think it didn't help that I was running in complete daylight, and it was pretty hot here in Michigan. Like, got up to the mid 80s. I was stopping at like McDonald's and Burger King to drink water, but I did a massive carb load for that actually. I had a chicken bake from Costco plus a ton of samples, and I may have also had protein pancakes too. But it all went to a good cause. Hit that first half marathon. Otherwise, I was keto through the week. I did a few keto runs during the actual work week. I think that Wednesday, Thursday were both keto runs. What I found was that even though it was doable, I just didn't have that like explosive energy that I normally like to have. I was doing 5 miles both times, but they actually came out to be slower miles than I normally do. They were hovering closer to 11 when I normally trying to get down to like a 10-minute mile. So I really do think having a little bit of carbohydrates with cardio is going to be a good thing. I know some people are really adamant against carbs in any situation. I think I'll get kind of more in depth on that in a different video, but I just find that carbohydrates do have a purpose, and long distance running is definitely like at the top of the list for that. So I'll probably continue carbing up for my runs. Again, 10 grams of sugar per mile is kind of my target. If I'm going for a half marathon, that means I can have 130 grams of carbs. Comes out to like 600 calories. So it's basically I'm allowed to have like some kind of carby meal. Pancakes is perfect for that. And maybe also the Costco chicken bake on top of that. But that being said, guys, thanks for sticking around. Finally hit 1K subs earlier in the week. I'm already at 1,500, so it's kind of blowing up quick on me. If you're on the keto or carnivore diet and you're struggling, I have a Discord support group. You can find a link for that below, or just ask me and I'll paste a fresh one. They do expire every 7 days. Unfortunately, that's just Discord. I have to work with that. But if you want one-on-one coaching, you can get a hold of me either through my Linktree link below or after you join my Discord group. Just send me a direct message. Either way is fine, and then we can talk pricing. On top of that, all the different supplements I showed you guys today will be a part of my Amazon affiliate links down below. I get a small commission, 1%, not a big deal, but if you were going to buy them anyways, it helps the channel if you get them through me. If you don't, I'm not going to be offended, don't worry. That being said, guys, the next video I do is going to be purely in the gym. We're not going to go over entire workouts, but what you will get is a good understanding of how I train, regardless of the exercise or the muscle group. In the meantime, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. I've been Andrew Fillion. I'll see you guys on Monday. Peace.